The Zoning Board of Adjustment is a quasi-judicial board created by the City of Ames. The board's purpose is to decide on applications for home occupation permits, special use permits, exceptions, and variances to the zoning ordinance, applications for conditional use permits in the floodplain, requests for reasonable accommodation because of a handicap, and appeals of the decision of the zoning enforcement officer. As a board of the city, we welcome all testimony. We make our decisions based on the facts and evidence as allowed under city code and present it in open meeting. Testimony before the board must be given under oath or affirmation. If the proceedings become lengthy, we may ask that testimony be focused on new facts or evidence not already presented. We ask that you come to the microphone if you wish to speak so that your testimony will be audible and may be recorded. Before speaking, please complete an orange information card and hand it to the recording secretary. You want to wave, Jackie? This is the recording secretary. The orange cards are on the table over there. When you are testifying, please address your remarks to the board. We also ask that the proceedings be orderly. The Zoning Board of Adjustment is an independent volunteer board of citizens. We are not part of the city administration. We are served in our efforts by Jane Chang's Assistant City Attorney, Benjamin Campbell, Planner, and Jackie Higgins, Recording Secretary. The order of proceedings for each application will be as follows. First, an oral statement summarizing the issues and procedural steps will be presented by the staff. Second, testimony and evidence will be presented by the applicant. Third, testimony may be heard from any members of the audience who wish to speak in support of or opposition to the appeal. Next, the board will give the applicant and city staff an opportunity to present concluding summaries and arguments. And finally, the board will discuss the issues and evidence and come to a decision. The first item on the agenda this evening is approval of the minutes of February 12th, 2020. We just had a note, and I think it's okay, but I just want to make sure.
No.
At the last item last time, the vote in the recorded, in the electronic version of our packet was 4-0, but in the written version of the packet that we got in the mail, it had been changed to 5-0. And it was 5-0. So we just want to make sure the one I sign is 5-0. Okay.
So we're going by the paper.
We'll go by the paper copy? Okay.
Okay.
Great.
I'll make the motion to approve it then.
Great.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Shaypa, second by Perkins.
She can have it.
You can have it? Amar. Second by Amar. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. On the agenda tonight, there's been several changes. The special use permit for guest lodging to allow a vacation lodging use for the property at 2701 Bobcat Drive has been withdrawn. So that is not on our agenda anymore. The special use permit for guest lodging to allow vacation lodging use within the apartment building located at 700 Douglas Avenue and 708 Douglas Avenue will be continued to a later meeting. So those are not on tonight's agenda. So the first and only item on our agenda this evening is a special use permit for guest lodging to allow vacation lodging for the property located at 207 South Riverside Drive within the UCRM Urban Core Medium Residential Zoning District. Benjamin?
Good evening. The requested special use permit for guest lodging is to allow a vacation lodging use in a single-family detached home located at 207 South Riverside Drive. The site is within the UCRM zoning district. Vacation lodging is a term that applies to the use of a dwelling, which is short-term lodging use rather than household living. There are different categories or types of guest lodging allowed within the city. Vacation lodging is a type that allows a dwelling to be used for less than 31 days without the property owner being present. The property must also be registered as a rental property consistent with standards in the city municipal code. The applicant is requesting approval of a 2-bedroom dwelling with 2 of the bedrooms available for guest lodging and 4 adults as guests. The request for 4 adults is not consistent with the occupancy standard in the code, which states that no more than 3 adults may be permitted with a 2-bedroom single-family home. Approval of this request requires a stipulation noting the occupancy limit limitations of the municipal code. In this case, 3 adult guests for a 2-bedroom home is the maximum that may be permitted. And I believe Julie, whose case I'm presenting this evening, has spoken with the applicant about this, that stipulation right there. But it was just a clarification for what was in the application versus what staff recommends. The property does include which is shown up there on the screen, a 1-car attached garage, and allows for 3 additional stacked driveway parking spaces that do meet the minimum dimensions. The driveway is paved, and the recent zoning ordinance revision does allow for stacked parking to meet the minimum requirement. And although the zoning ordinance does not include specific separation requirements, a 1,000-foot separation distance requirement will be applied during review of the license application. At this time, there are no licenses for vacation lodging, single family or 2-family within 1,000 feet of this property. And notification was made to all owners within 200 feet. And last I heard, we did not receive any responses. Staff does conclude that the proposed guest lodging for vacation lodging at this property is consistent with the requirements for a special use permit for guest lodging and with the general and specific residential standards required for granting a special use permit. The guest lodging use will operate in a manner that is compatible with the surrounding uses and not cause a nuisance to the adjacent neighbors. Just again, the applicant was requesting 4 adults, but the municipal code does limit it to 3. And I also wanted to just point out that in the alternatives, there we had there's a typo there. The address is actually the wrong address there. It should be 207 South Riverside Drive, and the zoning district is the UCRM. Are there any questions?
I might have one. Hold on. Sorry. Sure. Does anyone else have questions for staff? So the maximum number of guests, adult guests, is 3.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
And we've tried to clarify. We've amended our application to make this clearer. That this is not the first application that that made that same request.
Okay.
For the idea being generally 2 adults per bedroom, but the way that the rental code works is that for 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, or 3 bedroom, for all 3 of those number of bedrooms, the max adults is 3,
okay.
And the guest lodging regulations defer to the rental code.
Okay. I think under one of the findings it says the maximum is 2, so we should amend that when we get there. Under finding 2, be designed, constructed, and operated and maintained. This is to be harmonious and appropriate in appearance with the existing and intended character. But it's 3. So I think the suggested alternative is correct.
Where is that?
Under findings of fact and conclusions, general standards, standard 2.
4th sentence of the findings of fact.
Parentheses, 2 little i's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. Yes,
But if it's 3,
you're
it's
right.
3. Okay. Great.
Sorry about that.
Thanks. Now it's time for the applicant to speak to their request. Hello. Thank you. Name and address, please.
Yeah, hi, good evening. My name's David Evans. My address is 1722 Ada Hayden Road, Ames, Iowa.
Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth?
I do indeed.
Thank you.
So I've only got a couple of minor comments. Firstly, thank you to the board and to the city for having what I think is a good compromise in terms of managing this beautiful city, ensuring it's not getting overwhelmed by Airbnb occupancy, but at least giving that flexibility that allows the guests that we've already had and we look forward to having in the future to enjoy this wonderful city. It's really been a pleasure living here and working with you guys in terms of making sure we're compliant with the code. So thank you for that. And then the second one, It's really important for us to have harmonious relationships with our neighbours and with the environment. We're very, very concerned about ensuring the calibre of our guests is suitable. We have some very, very strict rules about how they're behaving, which we kind of enforce by checkups. We also provide our phone number to our neighbours on one side. The other side is actually a student rental, so it's a bit more transient. But they have our phone number, and if there's ever been an issue, which there hasn't been to date, they have our encouragement to call us at any moment, and we're about 7 or 8 minutes drive away. So again, thank you for considering our application. And then I did have one question. My understanding is obviously the code allows for 3 guests, but I believe there's a nuance in there that says you're allowed a 4th if it's a relative under 18. Is that still correct?
I don't think it's 3 adult guests.
Yes,
I
it's
guess.
just adults. It's
Okay.
not limited to children.
There's
Okay.
not a limit to the number of children, so
Yeah.
you can have more guests.
Okay.
Correct. Yes.
And I think
Mhm.
we found out at a previous meeting, you could put that, you could increase the number advertised, but put a disclaimer on
Yeah,
your
yeah,
Airbnb website, right?
Yeah, I believe some of the platforms allow you to specify adults versus children. I believe that it's Airbnb that does not allow you to specify.
Okay.
Those total guess.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if
Yeah.
you, but I know that I believe that others have just in the kind of the body of the advertisement have
Clarify
made
that
that
it's
clear.
Okay.
3 adults, more with children, I guess.
In a different application, it was clarified that and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you can, if you have four can sleep in the house, you can put 4, and then you have to say in the description, it's 3, maximum of 3 adults and 1 child.
Okay.
That's what I recall as well.
Okay,
Thank you so much for your guidance.
thank
Was there
you.
any questions that I can answer?
Any questions? Nope. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now it's time for the public hearing. Are any members of the public here tonight that would like to speak to this request? Please come up. Mhm. Name and address, please.
My name is Glenn Wiedenheft. I live at 211 South Riverside Drive, which is the house just south of the property in question.
Do you swear to tell the truth?
I do indeed.
Thank you.
I'm testifying in support of the application and have found the proprietors to be really great neighbors. In fact, I would say they have taken better care of the place, presumably in order to sell rooms and vacation stays, than the previous occupants who owned it and lived in it outright. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other members of the public wishing to speak to this request? I'll declare the public hearing closed, and now it's back to the staff or the applicant if there's anything else they'd like to add, concluding summaries, arguments, or questions from the board. We can entertain a motion. There are none.
I move to adopt alternative number 1 with the amended address and amended zoning district.
And we'll do a second.
Okay.
And I'd like to make a friendly amendment that we also amend the
Sure.
findings of fact
Oh, yes, yes.
to
sorry,
reflect
sorry,
the
yes,
maximum of 3 adult guests.
Yes. I agree. I accept.
Thank you. I think we did that right too. So roll call. Oh, it's a motion by Perkins, second by Shoneman. He accepted my friendly amendment. Roll call vote.
Aye.
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 The motion is declared approved. Any person desiring to appeal this decision to a court of record may do so within 30 days after the filing of this decision. Okay. Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Meeting adjourned.